Namaste Gurukulians. Hope you all are fit and fine and safe at your homes. So, in this very lecture we are going to discuss about your NCERT exercise, okay, which is on the back of your chapter. So, this is the NCERT exercise of chapter number 2 which we are going to discuss today. So, first thing that I want to say you is that bache, I am not gonna do the spoon feeding work, okay. I just discuss the question with you. I am gonna discuss the question with you and only the concept I am gonna tell you. Rest, that means the writing of the question you have to do it by yourself, because the next standard is 10th class and a board class. So just try to inbuild this habit in you that you can write the answer by yourself. Okay, this is the 9th standard, so you are mature enough that you can write the answer by yourself. If still you face some problem, then you will tell me on the WhatsApp group that ma'am, we are facing this problem and I am not able to write the answer of this question, okay. And last part is bache, we are also going to upload the answers of this question, but it is up to you whether you just want to directly paste these answers in your notebook or you just try to build this ability of answer writing in your own, okay, on your own. So, the first question is about the separation technique. That means here you are given the two mixtures, okay. If I am going to mix this with that, then which process are you going to use to separate the two things? To answer this question, what you should have all the knowledge of the separation techniques, that the condition when the separation technique is going to use, okay. So like the first question, that is sodium chloride in water. The first is sodium, that is NaCl plus what beta? NaCl and the water. Very good. So in NaCl and water, what we are going to do? Firstly, you have to see whether this is a homo or a hetero. That means this solution, it is uniform. Yes, because when salt dissolved in water, it dissolves completely. That means they both are completely soluble into each other. So how you are going to separate this thing? With evaporation. With evaporation, because water is going to evaporate into vapors, and what we are left with? We are left with NaCl. So with the help of evaporation, and another process is crystallization, you will be able to separate the two things. Getting my point? The next question is about small pieces of metal in an engine oil or a car. Obviously, if you are having an engine oil, that means oil is in liquid form and metal pieces. So with the help of what? With the help of filtration, you can easily separate the two things. You can easily separate the two things, okay. So this is regarding the filtration process. So the next is about ammonium chloride as well as sodium chloride. That means ammonium chloride, that is NH4Cl, as well as sodium chloride, that is NaCl. In this, they both are solid. Ammonium chloride is also in powdered form and NaCl is also in powdered form. So how you are going to separate the two solids? Remember, this is sublime in nature. This material is sublime in nature. That means directly converts from solid to gaseous phase. So with the help of process name is sublimation. With the help of sublimation, we can easily separate what? Ammonium chloride and NaCl. Very good. Next is butter from curd. Very easy. Butter from curd, already discussed. Centrifugation. Very nice. Wheat grains from husk. That means simply based on their mass, wheat particle is heavy or husk particle is heavy. Obviously wheat particle is heavy. That means just by winnowing, that means with the help of wind, you can easily separate the husk from the wheat. Last, which I am going to discuss with you, is fine mud particles suspended in water. That means I am having this water and there are fine mud particles that are in suspended form. Suspended means they are moving in the water. They are not going to settle down, okay. but after some time they will settle because of the gravity factor. So how you are going to separate these suspended particles? Remember, in purification of water, when we are left with separation, when we are left with suspended particle, what we did? We did, that is loading. Loading means there we used alum as a loading agent. So here with the help of loading we can make these particles to what bache? To aggregate with each other and form a bigger particle and settle in the bottom. So by loading we make these suspended particles to settle in the bottom, and with the help of then filtration, with the help of filtration or decantation, you can easily separate the liquid from that bigger particles. So this is regarding the question number first. Okay, I discussed with you 4 to 5 parts, rest you have to do it by yourself. Okay, the next question is about, that means you have to prepare tea. So the whole process of tea making in house, what we need? A pan for tea making process. Okay, for tea what we need? A pan, a gas and water. Firstly the water will boil, then you are going to add what? Tea leaves. Then after tea leaves, sugar, then milk, and you are going to make 3 to 4 boils in that particular solution, and what you are left with? You are left with the tea. But now it's chemistry. You have to make tea with the help of chemistry terms. That means you have to use here the chemistry terms. So being a science student, it's a very interesting activity to do. That means you have to explain tea making process in terms of chemistry. It's very interesting. Okay, sounds very interesting, na? So now listen. Water is acting as solvent. So we are having water as a solvent. We are going to add tea leaves as a solute. Gonna add sugar as solute and milk again as. So here firstly we will have the water solute. Okay, take a particular amount of solute, that is water, in a beaker. Then you are gonna add 1 teaspoon of tea leaves, that is going to act as what? Solute. Then on a single boil, after a single boil, in this particular, what will it make? What it will make, beta? Solvent and solute, that is solution. And further in this solution, what we are going to add? We are going to add sugar, which again act as solute, and then milk, which is also a component and going to act as solute. So here the solvent is only water. Getting my point? So you have to write this whole process in chemistry terms. I marked these terms. Okay, and second one, sorry, but here also, sugar is completely dissolved in water, completely soluble in water. The term soluble, very good. Tea leaves, they are not completely soluble. So what we have to do? We have to just separate these leftover tea leaves with the help of what? With the help of what, bache? With the help of filtration process. So by using these terms you can easily what? Write this process of tea making in your science terms. So the third question is very important question and is very conceptual question based on the concepts. Here a student try to dissolve 4 different things. These 4 different things are potassium nitrate. What? Potassium. First is potassium nitrate. The second one is, bache, sodium chloride. Then potassium chloride. And the last is ammonium chloride. So he just took these 4 different components and on different temperature he just recorded its solubility. So on temperature, different temperature, he recorded what? Solubility. in solubility in 100 gram of water. These things are mentioned in your question itself. Okay. So number first, the temperature is what बच्चे 283, 293, 313, 333 and 353. Here the solubility listed is 21, 36, 35, then 24, very nice, 32, 36, 35, 37, next one 62, 36, 40, 41, 106, 37, 46, 55, 167, 37, 54, 37, 54 and 66. These following data are given, okay, in your question. So the first part of this question is regarding, first he just want to ask about the mass of potassium nitrate, solubility is given, solubility at particular temperature. He mentioned the temperature, that is 313 Kelvin. So from the table, potassium nitrate 303 Kelvin temperature, the solubility is 62. Mass of solvent he is given, mass of, that is 50 grams. So now what you have to find out? You have to find out the mass of what? This potassium nitrate. We know the formula of solubility. Mass of what? Solute upon mass of, what I have to write? Solution or solvent? Solvent, because we are here discussing about the solubility, not about the concentration, into 100. Okay. So here 62 is the solubility. Mass of solute I have to find out. Okay. So MS I am going to represent it. Mass of solvent is about 50 given and 100. So MS is going to be 62 into 50 upon 100. 50 to the 100 and this answer is 31 grams. So this is your answer. Second part, here in this what you have to do, you just have to put the values and you have to use the formula for the solubility. Okay bachche? The second part is, that means if he is going to dissolve what? He is going to dissolve your potassium, potassium chloride. He is going to dissolve the potassium chloride at a temperature that is 353 Kelvin. That means what he did, he just take amount of water, dissolve this potassium, okay, potassium chloride, and the temperature is 353 Kelvin. When he is going to reduce, okay, same amount of, that means here if I am going to add supposedly 100 gram of potassium chloride, so here also I am having 100 gram solvent, but here the temperature is decreasing from this 353 Kelvin. So you have to relate the concept of what? Temperature and solubility. Solubility is directly proportional to temperature. From this what I meant, if temperature increases, solubility increases. If temperature decreases, solubility also decreases. So here what will happen, if the temperature is going to decrease, because on cooling temperature is gonna decrease, and when the temperature is going to decrease, that means the solubility is also going to decrease. So now the 100 gram of what? Solute is not soluble in this particular amount of solvent, because the amount of solvent is same. At 353, 100 gram is soluble, but when the temperature reduced, solubility of solvent also decreased. That means here only 80 gram of what? Potassium chloride is soluble. So what will happen to this 20 grams? this 20 gram solute is going to precipitate out in the form of what? Crystals. Okay, so you will see a very fine crystals of what? Potassium chloride when the temperature is going to be decreased. So the next is beta, the solubility of each of the following at 293 Kelvin. This is the solubility at this 293 Kelvin temperature. You have to say what? You have to tell the maximum solubility, 32, 36, 35, 37. That means this ammonium chloride is having maximum solubility at 293 Kelvin temperature. Okay. Fourth part is relation between temperature and solubility. Already discussed. Temperature increases, solubility increases. Temperature decreases, solubility also going to decrease. Very easy questions. Okay, if you are very clear in your concept, the questions are very easy. Fourth is very simple question. We have already covered this question in your notes. Okay, when we discussed about the saturated solution, pure substance, colloid, suspension and their examples, already covered. Fifth, you have to classify homo and hetero. So the basic concept is homo, in which you can't see the two components with your naked eyes. Hetero, in which you can easily see the components with your naked eyes. Okay, so it is very easy. So in this question, he asked about the homo and the heterogeneous part. He asked about homo and the heterogeneous part. Okay, so soda water. That means in soda water, are you able to see the components which are present in soda water? No. If the components are not visible, that means it is homo in nature. Soil. Yes, we can see the components of soil because some are very fine, some particles are very large. That means you can see the components of soil. That means it is hetero in nature. And the next is about filtered tea. That means after filtration of the tea leaves, the solution you are left with, it is homo or hetero. Just think about it. Only one question should come in your mind, that is, am I able to see the two components? If you are not able to see the two components, that means simply it is homo. So the filtered tea is homo. Okay. Sixth is how you are going to classify that the liquid which is given to you is pure water. What I know about water? You know about its boiling point, that is 100 degrees Celsius. That means pure water boils completely at 100 degrees Celsius. So what I'm gonna do with that? What I'm gonna do with this particular liquid? I just gonna boil it. If the whole liquid boils at 100 degrees Celsius and we are left with no residual part, okay, nothing is left in that beaker, that means that particular solvent is pure. But if that particular liquid doesn't boil at this temperature, that means it is impure. Okay, getting my point? Are you able to connect the concept with the questions? Very nice, bache. So the next seventh is you have to classify the pure substance. Pure substance means nothing is going to be mixed with each other, like iron, mercury, calcium oxide. Okay, but in case of air, air is pure substance. No, it is not a pure substance because air is composed of oxygen, carbon dioxide, argon, nitrogen and so many gases in it. So it is not pure in its nature because it contains a number of substances in it. So it is impure in nature. So the eighth question is regarding identify the solution amongst the following mixture. That means what you have to do, you just have to identify the solution part. So the main concept behind the solution, in solution we are having two things. One is solute, another one is solvent. That means you have to check in the examples that if it is containing solute and solvent, that means surely it is a solution. So sea water. Sea water. First is, what we know about sea water, that means it contains water as well as of salt and number of things. So here I am having a solvent, yes. I am having a solute, yes. So is it a solution? Yes, it is a solution. Sea water is a solution. But as case of air, air is having different components, but they all are same in nature. Here nothing is going to act as solvent. So it is not a solution because here solvent is not present. How I am going to classify the solvents? Okay. So this is the thing you have to keep in mind, that in solution we are having a solute component and a solvent component. Next is about the Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect means, beta, what? Tyndall effect means when the particles are large enough that when light ray will come, it's going to scatter this light ray in different directions. That means scattering of light with the particle is Tyndall effect. And only two things are going to show the Tyndall effect, that is colloidal particles and the suspension. So indirectly what you have to identify, you just have to identify the colloid suspension from solution, because true solution is not going to show the Tyndall effect, while the colloid and the suspension particle, they are going to show the Tyndall effect. Like milk, milk is a colloidal in nature, so that it's going to what? It's going to show the Tyndall effect. And the another one is salt solution. Salt solution is a true solution, so it's not going to show you the Tyndall effect. Copper sulfate solution, okay, you are not here, but if you are here, we will perform this activity. When you are going to dissolve the copper sulfate in water, na bachche, it's going to give a blue color solution. But that blue color solution is homogeneous, that means it is true in nature, so it's not going to show the Tyndall effect. Okay. Next is starch solution. Starch solution is going to show the Tyndall effect. Okay. Next one is, bache, you have to identify the elements, compound and mixtures. What you have to do in the 10th question, you have to identify what? The elements, compounds and what, beta? The elements, compounds and the mixtures. Element, purest thing. Compound, when two and more elements they are going to combine, leading to the formation of compound, and we are left with mixture. Element like sodium. Sodium is an element, but sodium chloride, that is NaCl, is a compound, because here we are having sodium as well as chlorine particles, so it is a what? It is a compound. Here in this, there we are having a calcium carbonate, that means CaCO3. It's a compound. Okay. Tin. Tin is an element because tin is a metal and it is not combined with any other thing. And soil. Soil is a mixture because number of components, they are mixed together in the soil, so it is a mixture. Soap. Soap is a compound. Soap is a compound. Okay. Air. Air is a mixture because it is composed of number of gases. Okay. So from this thing you are able. Okay. Last is blood. Okay. Blood. Blood is appearance is homo. Okay. But we have to classify element, compound and mixture. Bache, in blood we are having two things, serum and plasma. That means it is a mixture. Okay. So the 11th and the last question, you have to identify which of the following is a chemical change and which of the following is a physical change. Last question, in a chemical change, two things you have to keep in mind. First, chemical change, new substance is going to form with new properties, and the chemical change is irreversible. That means you can't revert back the change. Like here, we are having cooking of food. Okay, when you cook the food, the new substance is going to form. Okay, that means a new substance is formed. Yes, it is a chemical change. Yes, and you can't convert this cooked food to your raw materials. That means irreversible in nature. So this is a chemical change. A chemical change is cooking of food. Digestion of food. When the digestion process is going on, the food is going to convert into which form? Energy. New substance is formed. Yes, energy is a new form. Secondly, is energy, you can convert the energy back to the food? No, we can't convert. So digestion of food is also a chemical change. Third is the freezing of water. When water is freezing, okay, water is going to convert into ice. Here we are also having water, that is H2O, and ice is also made up of water particles. So new substance is going to form here. No new substance is going to form. Only the state is going to change from liquids to solids. So new substance is not there. That means it is not a chemical change. It is a physical change. And are you able to revert the process? That means are you able to convert the ice into water? Yes, we are able to convert ice into water just by melting it. So it is reversible in nature. So it is not a chemical change, it is a physical change. Okay. So we are done with your question answer of the NCERT of chapter number 2. Okay. Each and every question I discussed with you, and the leftover part you have to cover with you have to cover by yourself. Okay. We discussed all the concept related to these particular questions. Okay, bache. So just try to write these questions in your firstly in rough notebook. Okay, so that if you will make any mistake in fair, you are able to correct it. Okay, when I am gonna upload the PDF, what you are going to do, you just have to cross check your answer with my answers, and then the correct one you have to write in your fair notebook. Okay beta, we are done with this chapter. So hope you are able to get each and every concept each and every concept should be clear in your mind. Okay bache. So thank you so much and all the best. Thank you.